Most people meet me as an OBGYN, but that's not where this story starts. I was born into chaos, raised by a grandmother in post-war Korea, shaped by poverty, violence, discipline, and survival. The military made me a man. Medicine made me useful. Women made me a witness. For over 35 years, I've stood at the edge of life, watching fear, power, systems, and miracles collide. This isn't a podcast about pregnancy. It's about truth and how systems fail people, about how fear gets dressed up as policy, and about what happens when you stop obeying and start thinking. This is Chun Unfiltered. If you're looking for comfort, this may not be your place. If you're looking for clarity, sit down. Let me explain how I ended up practicing the way I do. Not philosophically, not ideologically, practically. My very first job out of training forced me to build something out of nothing. There was no practice handed to me, no patient list, no safety net. I had an office, a secretary, a nurse, and that was it. So I had to become resourceful fast. I learned how to introduce myself to the community. I had to earn trust one patient at a time. How to show up consistently until people believed in you. I gave talks at local schools and nursing homes. I reached out to primary care doctors and told them I was available for anything. For the first 18 months, I covered every single patient myself, day and night, except for one weekend for wedding. That period taught me something early. Communication isn't charting. It isn't messaging. It's being there. After that, I worked inside different structures, hospitals, groups, organizations that promised support and balance. And over time, I learned something simple. No matter how you dress it up, systems answer to numbers. Not because people are bad, but because that's how systems survive. So, I try to work within that reality. I built teams. I worked with multiple providers. I shared responsibility. On paper, it made sense. But medicine isn't a factory. You can't delegate judgment. You can't outsource accountability. You can share a call. You can rotate schedules. But when a patient is scared, when something goes wrong, when a decision actually matters, they don't want the team. They want someone. And that someone is always the principal. Over time, it became harder, not easier, to expect others to care the way I did. Not because they didn't care, but because they weren't owners. Employees go home. Owners carried home. That's not a criticism. That's reality. And when something went wrong, no matter how many people were involved, it still landed on me. The responsibility was never diluted. Only the clarity was. Eventually, I stopped pretending otherwise. If I was going to carry the responsibility anyway, I wanted the clarity that came with it. I don't want anyone caring for my patients except me and the small team that's grown with me. The 4 people I work with every day. They know my standards. They know my patients. They know what matters. For the bulk of my career, I've learned this. No one works harder than the principal, and no system truly rewards that. What's interesting is that patients feel this immediately, even if they can't explain it. They feel when no one is rushing. They feel when someone actually knows their story. They feel when questions are welcome. They feel the difference between being processed and being cared for. When a patient sits across from me, she knows exactly who's responsible. There's no handoff, no ambiguity, no dilution of care. We talk, I explain, she decides. And I stay with her through it. That kind of medicine doesn't scale well. It doesn't fit neatly into productivity metrics. It doesn't maximize margins. But it works because trust is built over time, not in volume. Let me be honest about something else. I'm a dinosaur, a model that's almost extinct. I'm probably one of only a handful of true solo practitioners left in Boston, a city now divided between 4 massive health systems. I don't have a referral funnel, no marketing department, no hospital system feeding me patients. Most large practices rely on scale to survive. I rely on reputation. Patients find me. I'm often out of network, and a fair number of my patients come from other states. Think about that. That tells you something. It tells you that many patients aren't choosing convenience anymore. They're choosing quality. They're choosing continuity. They're choosing someone who will actually know them. When a patient is willing to travel, to pay out of pocket, to step outside the system, it's not because she's difficult. It's because she's informed. The system tells us patients want speed. What they actually want is to be taken seriously. This is why I practice alone. Not because I had to, because after trying every reasonable alternative, it became the only way to practice medicine that I could stand behind. I don't promise answers. I promise honesty. What you heard today isn't theory, it's lived, carried by thousands of women who trusted me at their most vulnerable. If this made you uncomfortable, good. Growth usually is. Until next time, stay awake. This is Chan Unfiltered.